Get Heavy Podcast, hosted by Craig Casamas and John Scheimer.
Nice.
Anyway, so how's things, man?
Good. Can't complain, really. Just staying super busy, Trying to make music, but really just working a lot.
Yeah.
That.
How's that balance, man? Do you find
It's tough, we're middle-aged men now, so you have to schedule. I have to schedule my music time, and luckily my girlfriend is really encouraging and understanding about okay, Sunday is the music day, Friday night is the music night.
Oh, okay. So you guys do like a Friday night practice and everything, huh?
Well, there's no practice because it's been COVID, so everybody's remote for the most part.
Oh, do you guys really work all remotely? You guys haven't jammed at all?
No, I have not jammed with a human being since March of 2020.
Jesus, man, that's rough. Because we practice we're lucky to get. Well, we did about 5 months nothing at all, and then eventually it was like, okay, guys, everyone was like, I'm fucking dying here. You know what I mean? Let's start jamming. And we got a new guitar player, so we had to get that guy broke in.
Right.
But really,
the problem with Intronaut is everybody lives somewhere else. The drummer's in Georgia. Joe has been kind of up in the Santa Barbara area for most of the COVID.
Oh, really?
Time. But now everybody's getting vaxxed, so we might be. Our first actual full band jam will be in August, which is a month before we record the album.
Damn, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to tell you, I've never ever got a chance to say this, but you guys, Intronaut, was a massive reason that the Wrath got even noticed or put on our label. We were label mates. I don't know if you know this or not. Goodfellow, back in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys were literally the reason they gave us the time of day back in 05 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Why did I think? Were you guys also on TP though, or something?
After.
Okay, right.
After, yeah, we did the one record on Goodfellow, and then we got on TP after that. You know what I mean? Because of actually the help of ancestors, really, and the guy who ran TP at the time, Steve, was killer. But.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I guess it was so long ago.
So long ago, man. Yeah, but I never really, we don't talk very much. So I know obviously you and Danny. You know what I mean? I've known Danny since we were 15, but. That was the main, you guys were the ones who were like, hey, check this out, you know what I mean? And that's why we got that record, dude. So, thank you.
That, of course, yeah. I mean, that label was so cool.
They were rad, right?
It's too bad, and especially around then, they were doing so much cool shit.
Right.
I feel like, I don't know, who knows why they didn't end up continuing, but...
Yeah.
Cool label. And Chris was...
Remember, they were the first ones that kind of back then it was so segregated. You were a metal label, you were a fucking hardcore label, you were a punk label, and none shall ever meet. And they were kind of one of the first ones that really started branching out in a wide area, you know what I mean? You almost a Seasons of Mist and kind of, those labels that are out now, obviously Robotic Empire, all these other all these other labels were around doing that kind of shit back then a little bit, but Goodfellow had wild distribution, and seemed to be just throwing that shit around. It was pretty weird, man. They were one of the, I never really talked to any of them. It was all the drummer that kind of set it up for us,
Oh, okay, yeah.
But
well, yeah, Chris, the main guy at the label, was the singer of that band Chokehold. That.
Okay.
I mean, I never really knew Chokehold. I sort of knew the name, but I was never really into that style of hardcore. But it was early '90s straight edge,
Yeah.
But yeah, they were putting out so many cool records. Remember that Cursed 2, I remember was
that was the first time not the first time I heard them, but yeah, that band fucking rips, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I still listen to those records.
Yeah.
To this day. I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I threw a deep cut behind me on the wall. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the old Nut record.
Oh yeah.
Bastardizer, remember that fucker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that band.
Yeah, they're so good.
influence on early Intronaut. I liked Challenger.
Challenger, yeah, it's a good record, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff, man. So, I wanted to ask, are you actually like from LA? Are you one of the rare humans that's from LA and plays music in
Yeah.
LA?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, basically I was sort of from both San Diego and LA. Like my
Oh,
dad
okay.
was in San Diego, and my mom lived in LA since I was probably like 5. So I would spend the week down there going to school and then come here on weekends. But then I went to high school up here.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, pretty much grew up, I mean, on the LA side, in like Santa Monica, West LA kind of area. And yeah, I'm a city hick. I'm a
Yeah,
town.
man. Yeah. Well, it's so weird because it's like you meet 1,000 people in LA and one is actually from LA. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's always hard because I have such a hard time with that town as it is. Because there
Yeah.
is there is a level of douchery when you get into that area. You're like, get the fuck. And then when you meet someone that's actually from LA, they're fucking always the coolest one. It's never the person from LA that's ruining
Yeah.
LA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I think about it a lot, especially now. Like, would I have like done any would I have taken music seriously or like had any, or opportunities, I guess, if I like lived somewhere else? Would I have been like motivated to actually like find real musicians? You know, I mean, everybody
Yeah.
you're not is from LA pretty much, except I mean, Danny was from Camarillo, but that's just 45 minutes north of LA.
Yeah, up the road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
there's always been a little connection with the Ventura, LA, nardcore, LA punk, you know what I mean, that kind of shit connection and stuff. But I mean, we met each other when Anubis Rising, maybe? I mean, back in the day, way
oh
back in the day,
yeah, yeah.
right? I remember you guys played with us at the Livery a couple times in Ventura, and I was like, what the fuck, dude,
Yeah, that place was awesome.
Yeah. But like, what were your like? How did you get involved? You've always been in like heavy shit, and always like a tone guy. Like, what spawned your? Were you a punk kid? Like, were you a metalhead or what?
Yeah, I guess it started with punk. I mean, like when I was like, so when the Black album came out, I was like 10 or 11 or something like
Right.
that.
So
So
we're about the same age, I think.
yeah, the first like tapes I bought, with my own money or whatever was like, yeah, the Black album, all the Guns N' Roses, like that whole era. But then like, middle school, high school comes around and punk is found punk
Yeah. Hmm.
stuff, starting with like the Ramones on the Black Flag to, you just get heavier and heavier, just always
Hmm.
looking for the next most extreme thing, into like crusty grindcore and death metal. And then from there, it was like on to like prog rock, 70s
Yeah.
prog, which is like the next heaviest thing after.
Yeah. Isn't it weird? You like
like,
revert back to the.
like where do
Yeah.
you go from Cannibal Corpse? It's like
What?
yes, is like
Yeah.
King Crimson,
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
and like jazz and stuff. I mean, we all were just like huge like record collectors and connoisseurs. You know how it is. Like,
Yeah, man. Well, it's
um,
weird how you like. I grew up a metalhead. I didn't like punk at all until I heard bands like crust bands like Drop Dead, His Hero's Gone, because I was already listening to fucking Deicide and
right.
Mortician. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And fucking just every gnarly band you could hear. And so when I heard punk, I was like, this is dog shit, dude. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, but what it was for me is punk rock lyrically. I was tired of hearing about ripping women apart and
Yeah.
like destroying humans, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like zero substance, you know what I mean? It's fun for what it is, but it wasn't until really like I heard His Hero's Gone that I went, oh shit, like this,
Well, and
these
bands
guys
like
are gnarly and they say some shit, that I
yeah.
agree with, you know what I mean?
Well, and bands like that too. I mean, punk gets difficult after you find music that's just like the musicianship is just better. It's like hard to go back to like some new punk band that's like not very good at playing. It's like it's hard to find that same charm that it
Yeah.
had. But like, yeah, His Hero's Gone, or like, Drop Dead or like Disrupt, like all those bands were like
Mm.
really good, and you can still like kind of go back to them now, and they're so good. Whereas like I go back and listen to like FYP, and I'm like, these guys are not even like playing. It sounds like they're not even playing in the
Yeah,
same
totally.
room. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how do I like it? And I still kind of like it. There's still some charm there, but it's like if I
yeah.
found whatever FYP exists today, it's like it just would get that would not last.
It's just not
And
gonna work for you anymore. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I don't. I'm like a riffs. I'm a riffs guy. Like I feel like there's two types of people. There's riffs guys and licks guys.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I'm a riff guy. Like, if
yeah.
the riff doesn't hit for me, I'm good. Like, I don't. Not one part of me wants to hear Yigwe Malmsteen fucking shred,
No,
like
no,
at all. You know what I mean? Like, give me a fucking Sabbath riff for 50
yeah.
minutes straight. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like,
Same.
but some guys, it's like licks. They want to hear that dazzle. You know what I mean? And you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I never got there. No,
No.
same here.
But then there's a gray area. Listen to Van Halen. You know what I mean? You're like, fuck, man.
Yeah,
Licks and riffs. You know?
yeah. I think Van Halen I like learned to appreciate later on in life because at first it was just like corny butt rock, you know, to
Yeah.
me at least. But I mean those songs are just undeniable, and the guitar for me is just out of control.
Yeah, it's crazy. You find it's always that rare combination that gets you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's wild, man. So what's Intronaut? I actually was just jamming the new or the latest Intronaut today. And,
Mhm.
what a killer record. I mean, you guys have always stepped outside of yourselves for every record. You know what I mean? And this one's like just a beautiful fucking record, dude. You know what I mean? It was cool. It was cool to hear. I hadn't really listened to it a lot. You know what I mean? And COVID is just you got your head down and you're busy trying not to die. You know, but I just
Right.
started recently, like really listening to music again. You know.
Yeah.
And, I was jamming it and I was like, damn, dude, what a fucking always such a cohesive, beautiful record. But I mean, you guys always got compared to all these other bands and stuff, and I just don't feel like it's a fair comparison to anything, as far as, the Mastodons of the world and all these fucking bands, I mean, it's like, it's just not even close for me. I mean, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, thanks. Yeah, that was a fun record to make, and it was a long time in the works. You know, the songs were all written over the course of like almost 5 years, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm stoked on it. Um, yeah, it was a fun record to make. It's too bad, it came out and then COVID happened, so we played like, 3 weeks of shows and then that was it.
and you guys had like big tours and shit lined up already. Did you guys have to cancel everything? What was going on like when it happened?
Yeah, there was like, so we had a tour. We did a tour. It was like February into like the first week of March with Cult of Luna and Emmerich Rundle. And I remember like being on the tour and we're like hearing about this like coronavirus thing, and it was like,
Were you guys out of state, like in Europe, or were
no,
you
we
here?
were like, it was North American,
Oh, okay.
but it didn't really get serious until like probably halfway through the tour. And so we're like in like Montreal, and it's like, okay, it's officially an epidemic now. And then it was like a week later, it's like, it's a pandemic. And I'm like, what? I've never even heard that word before.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so the tour, I remember we played, there was talk, the last three shows were San Francisco, LA, San Diego. And yeah, the San Francisco show, March 9th, which I think was the last show ever at Slim's,
Hmm.
one of my favorite clubs ever.
That's
Uh,
a great spot, man.
it By then there was like talk of like maybe that show was going to get canceled, and then it still happened and it was fine. LA the next day was the day when you heard about every band like, oh, we're canceling the tour that starts like tomorrow or whatever. And then we
Yeah.
played San Diego, and it was like, this is the last show that anyone's doing ever.
Yeah. Did it feel
Yeah.
like it? Was it weird? Was the vibe weird? Because I wasn't playing shows or nothing. I mean, did you feel? I mean, obviously going around and hearing about everything. Did you see people getting sick or anything? Or I mean, nothing really. Or
No, I think at the time we were kind of like, damn, that sucks, And but the thing about the perspective at the time, like nobody really knew when it was going to be. It's like, okay, like things have to close down for a little bit so they can get it under control, but then nobody got anything under control, and it was like, okay, I guess we're canceling our India trip, which is like next month. and then but yeah, so we had like all these. I mean, I can't really tour super heavy anymore. I mean, a lot of us really just can't, at this point.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of like fly dates, a lot of like festivals and stuff in like
Mhm.
other countries, and short little runs, and then yeah, just one by one things just got picked off, and you know,
That's
I was
crazy.
really lucky enough to get to do some shows and didn't have to like. I mean, there's some bands that were like stuck in like Russia. Like I think Torch was literally like stuck in Russia when everything got canceled and
It's
had to like
crazy.
find their way home from. I
See, at
was
least
like,
you guys were in San Diego, man.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's like, yeah,
exactly. The tour was
yeah.
over. Nothing got canceled. They're
Hmm.
just like they probably have like a month's worth of merch printed and
Oh my god. Yeah. I remember when Ancestors was on tour, they were telling me I was talking to them and they got stuck when that volcano blew up. Remember that shit? Like I don't know where I can't even remember where it was, but they got stuck in Europe for like 2.5 weeks, dude.
Oh right, that was the year that like Roadburn, like half the bands did cancel Roadburn or something because
Yeah.
the volcano created so much smoke that you like couldn't fly to Europe that week.
Yeah, they grounded all flights. You couldn't do shit, but they were already there. So they
Right.
had to float around Europe for like 2 weeks or something before they could get back, dude. And I just remember texting Justin and Brandon and being like, dude, what's up? They're like, we have no idea what's going on. We might die here. I don't know what the fuck's going on. You're like, damn,
Wow.
man.
That
I
sounds
mean,
like I feel like in like real regular life I would be like, I'm stuck in Europe 2 weeks. What's the big deal? But like being stuck there with like band members and
yeah, if you're stuck there with your chick, you're like, oh, hey, we'll make the best of it,
yeah, yeah, I'm
Uh,
stuck there with Justin Moranga. I'm like, fuck,
yeah, I know.
I'm
Yeah,
taking
he's gonna lawyer out on you all hard, dude,
I'm gonna find a boat.
and
This
sink
song.
it on myself. I
Nothing against
fucking
you, but I love
no,
you.
I
No,
love him.
not against it.
Could have been any of us, I'd do that, fuck, man. Yeah, I just think about that stuff, and it's like of all the times we toured, we didn't get out of the country much. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But all the times we toured around the U.S., and it was like I'm shocked that with the debauchery we were fucking on, you know what I mean? Like no accidents, never been hurt, no pull, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I just can't believe it. It's like if there's a god, that fool was following that piece of shit van around the country, you know what I mean? Like because
yeah.
there's just no way, and on paper any of that should ever work, And those early days, we did grimy ass touring too, It was like like much of what you did, I'm sure, for a long time is
Yeah.
sleeping on floors and fucking lucky to get a hotel once a week, you know what I mean? And
Sure, yeah.
oh, I don't miss that shit at all, man. You know?
I remember the first time we played, maybe it was with Ox versus Thunderbird or something like that. Intronaut played with you guys up
Mm,
there somewhere.
mm-hmm.
And I remember you were telling me that you had like I mean, it looked like a sick van at least, but you were like, yeah, I bought this from like some church or something, like 200
Yeah.
bucks, best deal. I'm like, where the fuck do I find that deal?
Dude,
And
yeah,
then,
it was $500. It was a $500 van, dude, and
and
it
then
ran for over 300,000 miles. You know what I mean? Like, by the end of it, we were doing tours in lawn chairs, like in the back. You know what I mean? Like the seats were all fucked up, and
yeah,
there's guys literally sitting in like yard chairs, like in the back, just no seat belts. People were just
yeah.
strapped in. It's
See, I
fucking
tried
nuts.
that. I tried that for Intronaut. We bought a van that was like literally 20. It was like in 2005, we bought a 1985 van, and it was
Yeah.
just like every 3 days, like, oh, what's that smell, or what's that,
Fuck. Yeah.
just ends up costing like, you know, $4,000 just
You
to,
could have bought a brand new van
yeah,
by the
yeah,
time
yeah,
you're done, essentially,
yeah.
man. Yeah, those are the parts of touring I don't miss, man. Like,
Oh man,
I miss the shows, I miss, getting to see new shit, but I just think back about it and I'm like, nah, man, I'm pretty good here. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
the stress.
I think the fly-in thing is the way to go, though, right? I mean,
Yeah, it can be cool. I mean, whatever. This is such a like weird thing to complain about, but just sometimes you fly in and you're like, what's the gear they have to use, and you just have to like make stuff work.
yeah,
That
yeah,
aspect was always interesting. But
yeah.
those are fun too. But there's something too about like being on tour for a month where like 2 weeks in you're like really good as a band. But if you like fly somewhere and you're like jet lagged,
Hmm.
you're just not gonna have that great of a show.
Yeah, there's like no more terrifying band than a band that's 2.5 weeks in a tour. you're fucking on, dude. You know what I
Right.
mean? You can do that shit in your sleep, you know, and
Yeah.
it's always nice when you really like you just zone in on that stuff. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling, man. Like we did some tours to CMJ and stuff, and by the time we got there, we were fucking assassins. You know what I mean on our tunes, and it made us sound really cool because we'd been playing them for 3 weeks straight. You know, every night, and
Yeah.
shows were doing okay. You know what I mean? And but you know when the stress of it, you're just like, God damn, dude. But yeah, but I mean also to be out and make a B-52 amplifier sound good. You know, that's a good accomplishment too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. The first time we went to India, there was like, it was the kind of thing where you kind of hop around to different cities or whatever. But I remember we played in one place, and it was like a festival, and some band earlier in the day just blew up one of the guitar amps. So they're like, and we're playing last. So it's like, oh yeah, well we have this keyboard. It was a Roland like keyboard amp that I had to play through.
Nice.
Like, and I don't know if you could picture the tone of like a Boss
Yeah. Oh, I
US1.
could picture it, dude.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
like dry, fizzy. There's like 1,000 people here, so that's
But
just
you're also in India, right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
India? Like, what is it? I mean, that's a country that no one fucking tours in, it seems like. I mean, to
yeah,
get that opportunity is so killer, man.
yeah. It's a super cool place for sure. I think more and more bands are going there now, but I mean, still not a lot. But yeah, for some
Yeah.
reason, Intronaut went there like 3 times.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So you guys are kind of getting ready to record new music and then plans for touring again. I know you said you're not going to be touring like you did, but I mean, is
Yeah,
there a plan? Is there a record label? You got it all set up, or are you just kind of going for it and see what happens?
yeah. This one's gonna come out through Metal Blade again, and we're not gonna record till September, so it's probably not gonna come out till like next year. But we have like a short. We just announced a tour in February 2022, which seems so fucking long from now.
Right.
Enslaved, which has been postponed like 3 times. Like it was supposed to happen in 2020.
Right. Yeah.
They just got postponed to then. And that's like 2.5 weeks. That's like probably the longest I could go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then some other stuff will probably come up, but not too much.
Yeah.
Just enough to keep it fun.
Yeah, I bet, man. I mean, well, just keep it interesting. I mean, do you find the same love? I mean, I know COVID's really fucked up everything, but do you find the same love for playing music and writing music as you did, or has making the guitars replaced any of that, like, feeling of accomplishment or anything, or is it two separate things in your mind?
It's two separate things, and it's definitely like there's got to be some kind of balance. I still really like making music.
Yeah.
The touring stuff, like, I feel like some of the charm is worn off, but it's still like fun to like play with bands you like. And I mean, I feel like there's still some places that I'm hoping we can go on tour. Like we've never been to Australia or South America. Like still kind of like holding out for that kind of thing, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like we got like we were just having this talk about doing a tour in 2022 that was like it was so long, the routing, and it's going to like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, do we need to go to El Paso? Like nothing against El Paso at all, but like I've played El Paso like
Mm-hmm.
10 times. Like it's I don't. I'll go there as just like a person and enjoy the city and everything. But like, I don't need to like play every single city again. You know what I mean?
Right.
The charm of being like, I can't believe I'm in Lubbock or
Oh,
like
Lubbock, dude.
or
Or I'm in La Crosse, Michigan. This is
yeah,
fucking killer. Like, what the
yeah,
fuck, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that part
So
has
check it out, guys. This is where the Blatz beer farm is. You're like, yeah, I'm good, man. Thanks.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
right.
Blatz, awesome. You know? Yeah.
Flat, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I mean, touring America itself is just such a gnarly grind, you know, it seems like compared to Europe or I mean,
Yeah.
it's minimum 10-hour drive everywhere you go, it seems like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really can be, especially in the middle. Yeah.
The middle of the country is rough, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I still like it. I still enjoy it to some degree, but I definitely felt like old and just tired a lot on the last the last run we did, even though it was great and it was super fun. It's just like
Yeah.
sometimes the long drives really do.
It starts to grind on. Are you guys driving yourself, or you guys got a driver? Or, I mean,
Well, the
kind of
last
take
one we did,
turns.
we rented an RV because the thing is that, like you said, the drives were so long that like
Hmm.
because Cult of Luna like can only do they all have jobs back home, so they can only take like 2 weeks off work. So
Mm.
they're like, we're gonna do all of North America in 2 weeks, but it's like
Oh,
just the like you know
major cities essentially.
major cities basically. So they're
Damn,
like
dude.
the whole thing. So every day was like 9 hours. So I'm like, we're
Damn.
not getting hotels, and I'm not gonna fucking do overnights in a van. So
Right. That's a smart way to do it,
um,
actually, man.
yeah, so it was actually kind of nice because you could just kind of sleep while you drive. Theoretically, you can do that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so we'll bring out like a person who drives and does merch and a sound person who will also drive, and then we can
Yeah.
take over. So,
Yeah, man. I mean, are you hopeful for the future, or how do you feel like coming as we're kind of coming out of this? Are you hopeful for shit really opening up again, or I mean, we've talked about it a ton on the podcast. Like, what's
yeah,
it really gonna look like when you come back? And it sounds like hopefully, 2022 is gonna be the year. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I am hopeful. I mean, I think that like people just want it too bad for it to not happen. I mean,
right,
they're opening up movie theaters. I went and saw a movie in a movie theater. I mean, it was only sold at half capacity, but I feel like by the time the vaccine is out and hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really been following the news, so I don't really know exactly how it's going, but I would think that once like enough people are vaccinated, then like it's not this like thing that you're just inevitably going to get, and
yeah,
spread to other people, then hopefully we can all get it back to somewhat normal.
yeah, man. I wonder how wild people are gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be like a fucking spring break for 2 years. I think there's gonna be some, it's going to be wild boy summer, I think, for a lot. The teenagers, because I have a teenager now, and I see the damage that it has done to her. You know what I mean? Being in middle school, wanting to,
Right.
if friends become so important. You know what I mean, in that middle school era, and she hadn't seen like one of her friends in 8 months. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I just think about the kids that are a little older than her that are like they're done, dude. You know what I mean? You're gonna see a shit ton of teenage pregnancies. You know what I mean? A lot of fucking drug problems. Some fucking, I think it's gonna be like Pauly Shore spring break, fucking '95 over around here for a while, dude. You
That's
know what I
actually a
mean?
good point. I haven't really thought about that, but you're right. Like
Yeah.
kids and especially teenagers, yeah, like just gonna be fucking going
It's gonna be
off
going
at
off,
night.
dude. Let's get ready. You know what I mean? You're gonna be fucking dodging teenagers on the freeway at night. You know what I mean? I think when shit comes open,
Yeah,
it's gonna be nuts.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see all that stuff happen. But not the
yeah,
pregnancies part. Stay away from my daughter. But
yeah.
fuck, I'll do 10 years, no problem, dude. Yeah. But yeah, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, damn, dude, these kids are gonna be going fucking nuts for the next year. Like, holy shit, dude. I
Yeah,
think all of us, almost all of us are too. Once shit comes back, like, I think
yeah,
everyone's gonna be fucking, pretty stoked. Maybe it's for me. It really helped me step back and realize, like, man, what is important. The things. The time. Your time is. Time's the only thing you got for sale. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So what's important? It's been really good to regroup. I think anyone that hasn't really taken this time to self-reflect, and really kind of question who you are and what it is that's important, all these things. I mean, you're a fucking moron anyway.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think it really makes you appreciate the true joy that we have had and experienced to be able to play music, to be able to say that, I've said it 1,000 times, we're the 0.01% of people that have ever been able to follow their dreams.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, how many people do you meet that have never ever taken a chance on themselves? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
crazy. Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I feel like I'm in a bubble where I'm surrounded by a lot of people that do, but yeah, it's like easy to forget that there's just, yeah, a lot of people just don't get that. I don't know. And some people just don't know that they can.
Yeah, Totally. And some people shouldn't. Some people are morons. Some people should not. Don't do it. You're a sheep, dude. Stay exactly where you are, you know. You're not going to bring any good to this world, you know what I mean? Like, but you know, I always try to, I try to keep, I want to go into this next year with like a shit ton of gratitude, you know what I mean?
Right.
About being able to play shows, not taking them for granted, you know what I mean? Not fucking being pissed that some dickhead just stomped on my stage and broke yet another one of my $50 fucking chords. You know what I mean? Or all that, like, just those dumb things, or the 15-hour drive I got. You know, because I started to get pretty bitter towards the end, being a guy that had 2 kids at home, not making a single fucking dollar, being gone for months at a time, you know?
Yeah.
I started to get real fucking bitter, you know, and I just don't want to be like that, you know? And it's been nice. This break has really showed me, like, what's really, really important, you know, and it's killer, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, for me, it's like probably the longest I've just been at home, you know, and in a lot of ways it was cool. It's like a lot of like playing catch up on like being an adult in some ways, you know,
Yeah.
because I just didn't have any other things to like um, to sort of like give me a reason to not, you know, get my some of my shit together. I mean, and overall, great year, you know. I didn't lose my job. Um, you know, I I met my girlfriend last May, and it's you know now we moved in together. It's like I almost
Yeah.
feel bad saying like that
What
I
a
had
good
to
year
leave
it's
my
been for
career.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, it's hard because you know, obviously getting sick and dying, you know, if you know people that got sick and died, it's shit, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But for a lot of us, man, like the guys that, you know, don't have to fucking be drowned by all that, you know, it's like dude, it was a great year for me. You know, I got to spend more time with my kids than I've ever in my entire life. You know what I mean? We got to go do some pretty cool shit with no one around us, and that was awesome, you know?
yeah,
And also, you know, I got to take a good hard look at, you know, who I am, who I'm becoming, and who I want to be, you know. And if
right.
for you, I mean, for you especially watching Dunable, you know, explode how it has. I mean, it appears to. I'm sure the grind is just the grind for you, but you know, the stuff that you guys have been able to develop in the last like year or 2 years has been fucking amazing, dude. And it's, you know, how did like what made you get into that? Like, have you always built guitars by yourself, or?
Um, no, I mean I feel like uh, I never know how to answer the question of like how did I get into that uh, business. I mean I think it
Was
was
it
really
playing
just
one too many shit guitars on tour when you didn't have control of what guitar you got? Is that...
kind of, yeah. I mean, that's sort of what got me like started with the tinkering aspect of like guitar electronics and stuff. Um, I mean, I'm not saying I was like really good at it at first. I feel like I was sort of like in this place probably like in 2008, 2009, you know, doing tons of tours where you're just like you're down, but it's like you come home with like fucking, you know, $50 extra, you know, or
Yeah,
something. You
totally.
know what I mean? Like, and it's just and it, you know we're all like just working gigs you know in between jobs and it was at a time too when like um and you know like it was like 2008 the economy like was shit and like it was super competitive for like service industry jobs
Hmm.
so really I just ended up doing a lot of like temp work where you're just treated like shit and you're like
Hmm.
making $8 an hour and it's really only like 10 hours a week. I mean, I literally, I think my like tax return for 2008 was like, I mean, I think it was like literally like $6,000 was my like
Yeah, totally.
adjusted gross
Yeah,
income. You
totally.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I'm like, you
yeah,
know, really like having when you're like, I have $4. You're in the grocery store and you're like, I have $4 like to eat for the next like 4 days. Like, how does
hmm,
this work? You know?
yeah.
And
If I
I think at
spread
that
this
point,
out, I
like,
can get one taco a day from Taco Bell. I'll
yeah.
be
I mean,
good.
I would buy like the top ramen
Hmm.
and like black beans and just like not do the like powder because the shit was just gross after a while. So it's like a fucking 39-cent meal, you know, that just
Yeah,
like is something in your stomach, but it doesn't taste good. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying this happened for that long, but it was like a few months of my life where I was just like, okay, I need to like figure out like a skill set
Hmm.
outside of like playing music that barely anybody likes. And so yeah, like I started like asking. I had a friend or a few friends who were like guitar techs, so I figured like get into that. And I think right around that time too, we did a tour with Mastodon, which was like the first time I was on tour with a band that had like guitar techs, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good job. And I was like, seems like it's
Whoa.
pretty easy to get into that kind of thing, like
Mm-hmm.
sort of like works well with what I'm doing. And so I started getting like little tech gigs here and there, doing some road work a little bit, but mostly like in getting calls to go to like the studio to like set up guitars for people, and then I worked at Guitar Center at the repair bench for like 4 years, which honestly like was kind of a cool job because it was like steady enough pay, and you got health insurance, and they would let you go on tour. And I
Nice.
was like building up my chops as a guitar tech.
Yeah. And you're like the only person in Guitar Center that's helping somebody. So that's nice.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's fucking, you're like the only motherfucker in this whole store that's going to help somebody.
Exactly. And just like,
Yeah.
yeah, learning customer service too, I mean, which
Yeah.
I still knew from, working in restaurants for a bit too. But yeah, and just learning about the guitar retail business a little bit. And then I moved into a house in 2011 with the intention of like turning the garage into a wood shop. And I was like, maybe I can build some guitars. Because here's the other thing too, like touring with like bands around that time, like I saw people would just like bring them custom guitars, and then they'd like they would let you like Brent would just like use this guitar that some guy made him. I don't know what their arrangement was, but it was like
Yeah.
some brand, it wasn't like a brand. It was just like a small builder somewhere, and I'm like, oh, that seems like it'd be pretty easy for me to like do that kind of thing. And so yeah, I just kind of figured I'd like build some guitars and see, you know, if that could become kind of part of a side gig, between touring.
Mm.
And then it just really took off because, once I sold one, it's like that person has two friends, and then those
Yeah.
people have two friends, and
It's like the
so
greatest Ponzi scheme on earth, dude.
yeah, exactly.
Fuck
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean that was like almost 10 years ago now, and then I launched
Yeah.
out in 2014. So
But I mean, do you have a background in like woodworking or anything? I mean, or did you literally just figure all this out? Like,
yeah, no, I mean,
because I mean, I'm gonna call you Sir Dunable Lord Luthier. I'm sure you're not gonna like that, but Luthier.
well,
But I don't know. Like, I'm a tradesman myself. I run heavy equipment. I used to build roads and freeways and bridges, and it's like I had to be taught this shit because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I became pretty fucking good at it quick because we're punks, and this is
right,
what we do. We figure shit out because we have to. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So I'm wondering if you came at it the same thing, or fuck, was your dad a carpenter and you understood how to work around wood? You know what I mean? I don't know.
My dad worked in like electronics, and some of his businesses along the way were involving like fixing. He had like an electric organ repair business for a bunch of years. Um,
Okay.
so the idea wasn't that like crazy, for
Right.
me to like be in the musical instrument repair kind of thing.
So it's kind of built in a little bit, you know.
A little bit, even though I didn't really learn anything from him, but I like technically, speaking, like as far as electronics go. But like you said, it's like if you like I don't know, I booked a whole month-long tour through MySpace once. Like I think I can like watch YouTube videos on how to like make a guitar
It's
neck,
crazy how far that shit goes, dude. Like
Yeah,
I was shocked that when I started doing what I was doing out of pure fear and necessity of not providing for my family that when I start getting into this shit and learning it, I'm like, "Oh, morons do this."
yeah,
Oh, this industry's built on fucking broken dreams and morons. And there's some really smart motherfuckers, obviously. You got
yeah,
to be a smart motherfucker to understand that stuff. But it's, when I got into these situations, I remembered that, oh yeah, I booked a whole U.S. tour by myself. And
right,
then when it failed, I didn't have anyone else to blame
right.
besides me. And that shit goes so far in the regular world. The fact of being the guy that's like, yeah, I fucking tanked it, dude. Tanked it.
Well, it's
Sorry,
the
my
worst
bad,
part. it's the work ethic too involved in being like, yeah, I'm gonna do something that insane. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, it's not insane. It's just I just mean
It
that
is
something
insane. It's fucking insane.
that big. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm gonna commit and I'm gonna do it. It's like the same kind of, it's just punk DIY work ethic. I think
Yeah, for sure, man.
and yeah, I
So
don't
you
know.
make a couple of prototypes for yourself, and then fucking you start selling them. And are you shocked at where the company is now? I mean,
I'm, I'm pretty shocked. I mean, we've grown every year, like pretty exponentially. I mean, like it's still growing for sure. So yes, it's crazy. It's like I didn't know anything about business going into like I didn't start a business. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I just started making guitars, and I had to learn how to like
run a business.
do business.
Yeah.
Run a business properly in California, kind of just along the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made. I think the first couple I made one for. I didn't even make one for myself. I made one for Dave Timnick, the other guitar player in Intronaut,
Mm-hmm.
and I made one for a guy in another band, and we went on tour. And yeah, just along the way, people are like, "What's that Dave's playing?" It's like, "Oh, Sasha made it." And then a month later, Jeff Matt's High on Fire is like, "Hey, do you want to build me a bass?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure." And then like the next tour we do is with another band who's like, "You want to make us guitar?" And it's like it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of snowballs that way.
Yeah.
It's really, super
Real
cool.
organic growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
kind of just been figuring it out um, as I go. I'm still learning, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I went down there to pick up my guitar, I was shocked at, it's a well-oiled machine. It looks like over there. I mean, it's a small shop, but I can't believe the amount of fucking product you guys produce out of that little place, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. You're like, God damn, man. Because I worked at DW Drums. Like,
Right.
I know what a giant manufacturing factory looks like. And I know the volume output they put out, and it's shocking to me that they put out that volume too. But man, it's
Yeah,
just so
people don't
fucking
realize
cool.
how many musical instruments are sold every year. You know,
It's a
I
billion-dollar industry. I mean, billions of dollars, I guess.
yeah, I mean, I heard from someone, and I don't know if this is actually like super accurate, but like at one point in the last few years, Fender was shipping something like 800 guitars a day out of the Corona factory. It's like when you put that into perspective,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like wow, there's a lot of guitar buyers out there.
yeah. And what's the output of Dunable right now?
Oh, we do like 10 to 12 a week right now,
Yeah, I mean, which
which
seems like
feels
a
like a
lot.
lot.
You know what I mean?
It feels like a lot, trust me.
Yeah,
We're
totally.
like
Yeah.
barely,
But when you
barely
think of
getting that done.
800, you're like, what the fuck, dude?
It's got to be like a whole city out there, you know what I mean? And you go
Yeah,
to NAMM is like the hugest convention. I mean, it doesn't even all fit in the Anaheim Convention Center.
right. Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
insane. Um, but I don't know where I was going with that, but I just think it
yeah.
was.
Well, it's just weird because like you hear these things like when I worked at DW, and it was a great company to work for, dude. Like it just they were never going to pay me what I needed to make. You know what I mean? And that's why I left to do what I do now. But you heard these things. I was around there in '08 when the market dropped out and all these things. It's like, oh yeah, music is a luxury item, and people aren't buying these things because they can't afford them and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. For the companies that have built themselves up to a point to where they've overvalued themselves to where they can't sell to a normal human again. You know what I mean? And then the product, and I'm not saying this is DW. I'm saying this is other places that I dealt with while I was there.
Yeah.
These massive fucking companies. It's like you've overvalued your market so bad that the product you're putting out is dog shit, and you're putting out mass quantities and mass volume. And you don't give a fuck about a warranty anymore because you'd rather just replace it than fix it.
Right.
And you've devalued your own marketplace so bad that, yeah, you're going to eat shit. But smaller companies that really care about the product, it never slowed down. DW never slowed down. And their drums are
I was about
fucking
to ask.
crazy expensive,
I was about to ask, like in 2008, did they still just sell just as many drums
I
then?
mean, it dropped off obviously, but it wasn't. I don't. I don't think. I wasn't in their inner workings, but I
Right.
never. The drums are always fucking 6 months back ordered. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whether it's whether they did 10 million that year or fucking seven. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's like you guys
There's
are
just
doing
okay.
it, but it's a company that gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like and you obviously, you give a shit about your stuff. And when you
Yeah.
build a company off of like love and organic fucking just caring about the musician and wanting them to be able to sound good and how they want, like this is what happens, like when it's
Yeah.
built on passion, DW is built on passion. Those guys
Right.
are so passionate about their stuff, and it just shows in the work, but
Yeah. They're beautiful.
obviously for you guys branching out with the DE series and stuff, it's like it's such a smart move. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
even getting to hold that one the other day, I was like, God damn, dude. I mean, that's nicer than any guitar I've ever paid $1,000 for, hands down. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow. Thanks,
you
man. Yeah.
know. But it's
No.
just such a smart business move. You know what I mean? And I mean, the business of running a band is not easy either. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's like a in the loss all the time fucking business, right? I mean, who are the bands that make money? Mastodon? That's it. I mean, and
Yeah.
maybe
I
not
mean,
even them. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I think that yeah, like there's definitely some threshold, of musicians. But I think even those guys, I mean, I don't know exactly what their situation is, but I think they're doing just fine
Yeah.
income wise from that band. I'm sure, but I think they all have side hustles
Hmm.
of some sort. You know what I mean? Which is probably just like a smart financial move as an adult to like not have just
All your eggs in one basket.
all your eggs in like a rock band.
Yeah. All your eggs in one cabinet, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's fucking weird, man. I mean, the music thing is just such a trip because, if you were to write out on paper like how bad of a business venture music being a
yeah,
musician is, like,
yeah.
there's not like one businessman that'd be like, go for that,
I
go
think
for
that
that.
yeah, I
You
feel like
know?
that's a good way for somebody to like to develop like business acumen too, because you're just like, how do I cut every possible expense that I possibly can, And then
Right.
you like go into some other industry where like people want to like consume what you're selling. Actually, it's like, oh, that's the missing ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
People
Yeah.
have to
People
pay
gotta
for
want to
it.
buy your shit. That's
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. It's so funny, man.
make
Yeah. It's
money
just
faster
so.
than you can spend it, which is just like almost impossible with
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, because I work around norms, normie people that
yeah,
never did shit. Like, they do whatever they like their cars and blah blah, all that shit. But
yeah,
it's like they act like, dude, you were a touring musician. Like, what was that like? It must have been fucking incredible. Yeah, here let me explain a fucking day to you. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You get up at 6 a.m. You fell asleep at 4
yeah,
a.m. You know what I mean? You got a
yeah,
17-hour drive. You're there for fucking 5 hours, maybe. If you're lucky, you get a sound check. You know
yeah,
what I mean? You play for 45 minutes to an hour and a half. You hang out for 30 minutes, and then you fucking drive to the next show. You know what I mean? Like that's really when you break it down. Yes, it's
yeah,
fun. Yes, it's worth it. I would never trade anything I've ever done. But on paper, when you really think about it, it's like, oh my god, dude, like it's just such a
yeah.
shit show.
Well, and yeah, and I don't even mean to like suggest that I ever even like cared about the making money off of music. Obviously
Yeah,
not.
but that's
That's never what it was about. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's like I feel like I never even like thought that was even like possible. So there
possible.
was
Yeah.
never any like. It wasn't until like our fourth or fifth record where like we had somebody be like, "Why don't you guys have like an online merch store?" I'm like, I guess that's a good idea.
Great question. So, yeah,
Why not sell?
yeah,
Yeah, sell things to help. Yeah,
yeah.
fund
Like
it.
this is pre-Bandcamp probably, right? And all that shit where it was really easy to sell shit now. You
Yeah,
have to
I
try
mean,
for it. I mean, back then you had to fucking try, man. Like,
yeah,
back then setting up a website, good fucking luck, man. Like, we would sell shit on MySpace, you know what I
yeah,
mean? But it
yeah,
was fucking to Tom, maybe, you know what I mean? It's like ridiculous.
yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, I'm just so stoked. Obviously, I got mine. I'm so excited, dude. I can't stop fucking playing it. The
Nice.
riffs that are coming out, I'm like, I just go fucking Sasha every time I write a riff. It's like, do I have to give you money now? Like, If I make a killer riff and it gets money on your
Actually,
guitar, is that how that works?
you just have to pay me for every riff you write after.
Damn, dude. All right. Well, you got a solid 65 cents coming your way.
Yeah.
But I noticed, obviously, I think a lot of us it'd be remiss not to mention it since it just happened today. I know I've kind of checked out of politics and stuff, but the verdict just came in for the Floyd, I mean, how do you, obviously, I know you are absolutely pro that cop, right? I mean, no, I mean, it was interesting to see that verdict come down. I was like, holy shit, man. Like, have you been following any of that stuff that's going on politically, or, I mean?
Yeah, well, that in particular, yeah, we've been following it here at home. I was nervous, I feel like a lot of people were like, I mean, they have to find him guilty. It's like, I don't know, where have you been around for the last like 25 years?
Yeah, have you been in America?
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, I think it's great that they found him guilty on all those counts, but, we still have the sentencing I mean, I don't really know what has been said about that, but it's like,
yeah, me either.
Don't just give him fucking, like probation or some like, light ass sentence. I mean, like, I think it's time to like hold these people accountable instead of.
Well, that's the main problem with policing anyway. They're not held accountable for any fucking thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whether you're, what that guy did to George Floyd was straight up fucking, in my first degree murder. That was fucking first degree murder. They had a history. You know what I mean? Like, that guy knew exactly what the fuck he was doing. You know what I mean? And he did it in broad daylight in front of 1,000 people with cameras,
Yeah.
Second degree murder, fine, good. But, I mean, you got to throw the book at this motherfucker. And then also there's an appeal. You know what I mean? And, it's just, it is so depressing because here we are again. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're white privileged males and, what do we have to really, bitch about? But, I mean, I get so tired of people being shocked by fucking how this country is. You know what I mean? And
no, totally. And like you said, it's like this is when they need to be like setting an example. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's really what's going to fix it. It's like if there's like consequences. I mean, I get it. Like I'm sure that being a police officer is like a super stressful job, and maybe you just snap sometimes. But it's like, I don't know. I mean. It's not my job to come up with a solution, but there's got to be something, And
yeah.
The beginning of that is like actual like consequences for bullshit like that.
I think it's the most immediate thing you could do to fix the fucking problem is, have there be consequences to your actions out in the field. You know what I mean? And yes, I think the police I work around a lot of them. I work right next to a sheriff's shooting range, and I see a lot of them. And there's a lot of fucking good dudes. And a lot of them guys are terrified to even do their job because they don't want to be labeled a racist, even though they're not. And there's a lot of this. But also, every one of them says that they're undertrained. Every one of them says they're underpaid. Every one of them says they get put in situations every fucking day that they are totally terrified for their lives. And it's like when you're living, now I'm not identifying with the police or saying anything like that, but you're living in that fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, I remember getting beat up by a cop when we were skateboarding when we were kids, right? Yeah. We were skateboarding at a high school, and there was like 20 of us, dude. We're skating at a high school, not fucking bugging nobody. It's on a weekend. This cop rolls up and fucking just starts whipping ass, dude. I mean, he got 10 of us on the ground. He's cuffing people. He took all of our boards and threw them in a fucking trash can. And he's screaming at us. It's like, dude, we're skating. We're not ruining, we're ollie in the 3-stair, man. Like, this guy comes in so hot. My buddy stands up, makes him throw his board in the thing, but he breaks his board before he throws it in the trash can. He's like, if you're going to confiscate my board, you're going to have a broken fucking board, dude.
Yeah.
This cop fucking whips his ass, dude. I mean, baton, handcuffs him, throws him in the car. So we all Benny Hill out of there, dude. We're grabbing the skateboards. Everyone's running. You know what I mean? And it's like, all this is said and done. 15 sets of parents went down to the police station to complain about this cop.
Really?
Like, everyone was pissed. You know what I mean? Because it's like we really weren't doing anything.
Right.
And their only excuse, nothing. I mean, he beat the fuck out of this kid. Yeah. The only excuse is that, he just came from a child that had died and drowned in a jacuzzi. That was his last call. He was on high stress. And it's like, as a kid, I'm like, why would he take that next call? Like, you can't tell him, hey, man, I need a fucking hour to get my shit together. You know what I mean? After you just saw a baby drown, even if it's true, who fucking knows? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's like I'm not saying that, you know, my shit that I went through was even close to what these guys, poor black kids deal with every day. But you're just like, God damn, man, like. Just undertrained, like, no background checks, not enough fucking mental background checks on these guys, you know, and then no consequences. You know?
You mix all that together and you just have like a bunch of like murder, bloodthirsty fucking jocks that like are just mad all the time. Like, who are supposed to be like protecting you, doing exactly the opposite. You know what I mean? Like, and that, again, we're looking at obviously one of the worst case scenarios, but that scenario happens way too often, for sure.
Way too often, man. You know, and I've been in a million sketchy situations with cops, dude. I mean, some of it was my fault, some of it wasn't. You know what I mean? And it's never ended in me ever once considering that I was gonna die. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just not. I understand the white privilege thing. I could tell a cop to go fuck himself. And pretty sure I'm not going to get killed. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what that is. You know what I mean?
I remember, fucked, even in like, my teenage years, looking like a dirty punk asshole kid and being a dirty asshole kid, I was still like the guy who would be like, "I'm sorry, officer. Like, what is going on here? Oh, there's kids smoking weed. Where? Let's go get them." You know, like
you were the kid that they all sent in to talk to the cop, is what you were.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, probably the most privileged person, or one of the most privileged people, most people will know, and I can't even imagine what it's
like, man. Well, I'm good there was a little justice today, you know what I mean? Just a smidge, just this much, you know what I mean? And it's good to see it, I was really concerned that if this dude got off, there was going to be some serious fucking repercussions, you know what I mean? And kind of rightfully so, man. I don't want to see my city get ripped apart. I don't want to see anything else, but what else are you going to do? I mean,
no, exactly.
What else are you going to fucking do, man? Burn the precinct to the ground, I guess.
I'm one of those people who's like, I don't know, that's kind of an appropriate response. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Sorry, we might have to break through a fucking Starbucks window. Like, that just might have to happen,
Yeah, totally. I mean, yes, I don't want to see small businesses get ruined, but it's the damage of fucking just how the fucking shit is right now. It's like, they're told to shut up, stop it, fucking, you can't kneel and protest peacefully. You know what I mean? So what? Fuck it. Burn the fucking police station to the ground, I guess. I don't know, man. That
was pretty epic. That was one of the most punk things I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. For sure, dude. Yeah, I mean, a lot of punks talk a lot of shit, dude, but we saw who really pulled that shit off, dude. Black guys. Chris Dorner, the guy's out there killing cops, and fucking the cop is killing cops, and then a bunch of fucking angry black kids, Fucking got that shit done, dude. Where are you, punks? What's going on?
Yeah.
Get your shit together, dude. Yeah. The revolution will be televised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. I do really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks so much for the guitar and all that shit, and I'm glad to see your business doing well and the band's doing their thing. You know what I mean? And
thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing this too, man.
Yeah, man. It's nice to be playing again. Looking forward to. There's some shows on the horizon for us, and it just feels good to be back.